Okay, learning tip of the week this week is read English in front of the mirror. Now, for some of you, it might be very difficult to actually practice speaking English because there's maybe not many foreigners in your country, or just where you live, there are hardly any foreigners. So how do you practice? I get asked this question so many times. How do you practice speaking in English? Right, the only way I can suggest that you can do this, if you don't have access to a foreigner or English class lessons, then is read English in front of the mirror. Now, there's a tip here. When I'm usually teaching English inside the classroom, I find that students don't know how to use the punctuation, and that is period or comma or full stop. Now, what I would suggest you do is every time you see a comma or every time you see a full stop or period, then take a breath, because that is a natural pausing time. That's the time for you to pause. So when you're reading in front of the mirror and you're watching yourself, please make sure that you take a breath, and then it'll help you to sound more natural when you're reading English. The problem many students have when they read English is that they often end up sounding like a robot. Like, read English in front of the mirror, use punctuation to take breaks. There's no tone or intonation in there. So always practice that intonation and always use the punctuation in your sentences to help you to sound more natural. So there you go, learning tip of the week, read English in front of the mirror. Once again, that will be posted on our show notes on our website. So learning tip of the week, don't forget to use the punctuation when you're reading to take breaths. Okay, let's move on into our practice time number 2. Okay, practice time number 2. It's from our second dialogue. So, would you like to see a dessert menu? No, thank you. Could we have some coffee, please? Certainly. Would you like your coffee here or in the lounge? We'll have it here, thank you. Would you like to have a liqueur with your coffee? No, thank you. Okay, so have a quick look at that. Let's remove the customer's version this time. So I'll be the waiter and you'll be the customer. Okay. Would you like to see the dessert menu? Certainly. Would you like your coffee here or in the lounge? Okay. Would you like to have a liqueur with your coffee? Okay. So we have here, you should have said, no thank you. Could we have some coffee, please? And we'll have it here, thank you, and no thank you. Okay, this time you're going to be the waiter or waitress, and I will be the customer. Okay, so have a quick look there. Would you like to see the dessert menu? Certainly. Would you like your coffee here or in the lounge? And would you like to have a liqueur with your coffee? Okay, let's get rid of that. Right. Go. No, thank you. Could we have some coffee, please? We'll have it here, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, so there we go. You should have said, would you like to see the dessert menu? Certainly. Would you like your coffee here or in the lounge? And would you like to have a liqueur with your coffee? Okay, that was practice time number 2. Let's get in toward the end of our show now, but before we get to the end of the show, we have Expression of the Week and this week's to-do list. So let's get straight into Expression of the Week. Okay, this week's expression of the week, and this was difficult, actually. This was very difficult. I was trying to think of a good restaurant expression of the week, and when I took my little dog out for a walk earlier this week, I was trying to think hard of what kind of expression do we use in the restaurant. There are a lot of expressions, but I think most of them you'll know. But anyway, how's about this one? Do you have a table by the window available? Do you have a table by the window available? Now, in many restaurants they have window seats, and sometimes they have seats by the kitchen and obviously in the middle of the room. Usually the most romantic tables are the ones by the window. So do you have a table by the window available? And if you're in a restaurant that's on a top floor, maybe in Hong Kong or in Seoul or in Tokyo or Jakarta, then looking out over the cityscape can be a very, very romantic place to sit. So this week's expression of the week is, do you have a table by the window available? Okay, so let's go on now into our this week's to-do list before we finish this week's show. So let's move on. This week's to-do list. Okay, this week's to-do list is, as usual, check out the website of the week. It might just be the website for you. Listen to the podcast of the week. And this week is a really, really good one, particularly if you're a reasonably good English speaker. I strongly recommend that you try and have a read of an article in front of the mirror. Don't forget, very important, use the punctuation to take a breath. It'll help you to sound more natural. And finally, practice the restaurant dialogues. And I really strongly recommend that you do this, because the restaurant dialogues we have given you today are genuinely real dialogues that you can use every time you visit a restaurant and you have to speak in English. So, this week's to-do list. Number 1, check out the website of the week. Number 2, listen to the podcast of the week. Number 3, read an article in front of the mirror. And number 4, practice the restaurant dialogues. All it remains for me to do now is to say thank you once again for tuning in to English User TV. I really, really do hope that this video podcast, is helping you to learn English. But if you have any tips or any ideas that you would like to see brought into the show, please email me at eutv@fancorp.com. and I will try my hardest to get them in. Once again, I'm sorry there's no live video link with me standing in front of the camera with a microphone that didn't work. I will sort that problem out over the next few weeks, and we will have a live video feed in the future. But for now, once again, thank you very much for tuning in to English User TV. I hope you enjoy this show, and see you again next week.